A very good morning to everyone. So, our webinar today is on emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence not only enables you to understand and manage emotions, but also use this knowledge in guiding our thoughts and behavior, something we can leverage from given the current frenzy due to uncertainties. To take you through this session, we have with us today a clinical psychologist, trainer, and coach with Naman, Supriya Dhongre. She's been a trainer with us for over last many years. He's trained over 9,000 professionals in her experience of past 20 years, certified and endorsed by Dale Carnegie US in HIP and LMP. Over to you, Supriya. I'll leave the stage.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Hi, good morning. Just, just give me a minute and I'll share my screen. All right, so in the meantime, screen is taking time to get shared, you know, how the emotional intelligence works there also. So thank you so much for introducing me, Shambhavi. And it will be, I think, a learning experience for me also, because every session we also get something to take back with us. And that's where let okay, so just let me know, Shambhavi, that so my screen is taking time. In the meantime, let me ask you a question which is very relevant, and I've already decided to ask you that question. Is that how are you feeling? And you have your chat options open, and the condition is that use one word to describe that how are you feeling right now. All right, so I think all right, so let me know that you're able to see the slides. Okay, so interesting words I'm getting over there. And so the question was that how are you feeling? And the responses which I got talks about that how are you feeling right now? Okay, so very relevant topic for today, because if you look at the word, I'm sure we all will be hooked to the word which is there as uncertainties. and who understands us better, that today in this whole scenario, how keen we are to handle these uncertainties. So when I look at the question I asked you, and I got different responses from you, uh, usually when I take this session and I ask people, and face to face is usually different, and when I ask them that how are you feeling, uh, usually they have words to describe. uh, it's nice, it's good. And when you ask, okay, so I heard that you were on holidays, and how was that? And then they said, yeah, it was good. So, so food is good, holidays is good, life is good. So nice, good, great. These are some of the words I usually get when people uh, describe them. So Shambhavi, I think I'm not able to share. Like my PPT is not moving, and I think the test for all of us to. So,
Hi, Supriya. I have shared the presentation from my end meanwhile.
oh, that's good then, because that's where I was struggling. So can you help me with the PPT now? I'm talking about the how are you feeling slide, and I'll guide you that. So
Okay.
that will help me. I think, yeah, yes. So when we understand this question, how are you feeling? It all talks about the emotional intelligence we people are. Uh, uh, and that's where when we look at this feeling chart, and I was talking about my experience, that how less vocabulary we have when it comes to express very simple statement of our life. So many times I do have people excited and they go to this more than great, that's fantabulous. But many times we people are restricted in our vocabulary. And that's when we are looking at investing of our 1 hour in this webinar, most important, and I should say the first pillar for the emotional intelligence, that how sound or how rich our vocabulary is when it comes to expressing our feeling. Now look at these you know feeling chart, and I'm sure each one of us, because I when I was struggling with for my PPT, I saw someone wrote curious also. uh, for example, I'm a little nervous, and that's again emotional intelligence, because when you name a feeling, you know that what you want to do it. Now, the most important part, that why we should have good vocabulary. Let's understand this. Good vocabulary is important because we are better in dealing with the known things. Now, who knows better in this scenario? The unknown. Right now, we are all very much familiar or very much equipped to deal with unknown scenario. And that's where when we look at this feeling chart, think about all the feelings which are mentioned on this chart. For example, when I look at this, and I said that I have done this emotional intelligence webinar now almost 3 4 times, and a lot of debate happened with my project manager, and he said that I don't think you should be talking about COVID-19, Supriya, because people are already bogged down and people are already tired. And we had a good debate, and then I said, see, this is like a very fundamental thing for me to start without talking about it, because it's a denial. So if we understand Freud, so Freud has talked about defense mechanisms, and that defense mechanism is denial. So when we are all surrounded, engulfed in this whole uncertainty, and we are saying that we will not talk about it, but still thinking about it is the uh, very first pillar which we are not understanding it. So I invite you that what all words you have used to describe how are you feeling, pick up some other words and try to explain that how are you feeling right now. So nervous, I pick up that word because in a behavioral training, when you talk about eye contact, when you talk about body language, when you talk about rapport building, think about the kind of a scenario I'm in as a facilitator, because I'm not able to see you people. I'm not able to have that kind of a proximity where I can understand your expressions, your body language, and look at me. I'm talking about emotional intelligence. So I think the real test for me in this scenario, when we are looking at emotional intelligence session. Uh, can we go next, Shambhavi, please? Yeah. So when we look at the next slide, it is a challenge for me in spite of my PhD in emotional intelligence. In 1 hour, covering emotional intelligence, because it is an abstract topic. It is definitely difficult to cover emotional intelligence in 1 hour. At the same time, I understand that that people, those who are part of this webinar, what is ROI, Supriya? Return on investment. You know, other 3 webinars were already lined up, but I decided to come to your webinar. Kya return on investment hai? You know how we are nowadays. So with him, what's in it for me? Yes, uh, this 1 hour webinar, I'm sure we will be able to explore what EI is all about. And I'm sure when it comes to EI, we all are aware what is EI. What I decided, looking at the timeline, that we will understand it from a more simpler point of view, because right now we require EI as more of a skill rather than any kind of a gyan, which goes very well for the behavioral trainings. So I will keep it very simple, and the whole ROI, or with him, if I have to talk about, even one insight, even one input, even one information, even one smile, if you go back after this webinar with, I'll be very happy as a facilitator that my ROI is achieved. So some terms and conditions, disclaimers I should put in here, that in 1 hour, will it happen that I'll have some kind of an aura behind me, that the moment I'll walk out from this room, people will say, oh, you look very emotionally intelligent. Aisa kuch nahi hoga. Okay, please understand, in spite of working for 20 years in this field, I'm still working on my emotional intelligence. And that's where what will happen, a better understanding, maybe one tip, and that's what's in it for me, the return on investment for you. Now, when we want to understand EI, a lot of definitions are given, and I think a lot of work, I should say, that has been done, because people are understanding, organizations are understanding, psychologists, social psychologists, everyone is understanding the importance of EI. And that's why the struggle to understand EI is also much, much more. So when I was researching, I picked up a very simple definition which will help us to understand it further. So next, please, Shambhavi. Now, when we want to understand EI, and in a very simpler way, as I said, what do we mean by EI? Next, please. Yes. So, emotional intelligence, like the very first, which talks about that, it is definitely not the opposite of IQ. Please don't misunderstand. A lot of time people feel that if I have to practice, I have to keep my rationality and reasoning aside. It doesn't happen that way, because IQ and EQ, it's not very dichotomy, you know, either or kind of a thing. In fact, a very important word which is mentioned over there is the unique intersection of both. So when I'm practicing, or when I want to enhance my EI, does it mean that I will keep my rationality, I'll keep my reasoning, I'll keep all my logics aside? No. How I can create a balance between both is something which is very important for EI to understand it. Next definition is talk about the ability to identify. Now, many times when we know EI, in my experience, I have heard people knowing that empathy. Empathy is important. At the same time, it is a very later part of emotional intelligence. So when we look at emotional intelligence, it is the ability to identify, use, understand, and manage emotions in positive ways. So does it mean that all emotions are positive? Yes. So we cannot say that good or bad emotions, because emotions are emotions, and what we feel, we feel. So anger, for example, many times people feel that I really want to control my anger. Controlling anger is not a good idea. Managing anger is a good idea, because it's a surviving tool for you. And that's where when we look at this definition, that EI is the ability to identify, use, understand, and manage emotions. Now, identify is already what we started with. that how are you feeling? And this is a very important question, and I usually suggest in my coaching assignments also, that keep on asking, keep on getting familiar with what are you feeling right now, because naming a feeling will help you to use it, understand it, and manage that emotion in a positive ways. Yes, how it relieves stress, because the moment I'm able to identify my emotion, for example, uh, I'm taking a risk when I'm saying that I was little nervous when the PPT was not up. And the moment I realize that what I'm feeling right now, and I'm feeling nervous, okay, and what I can do, can I ask Shambhavi to help me with the PPT, because that was a crisis management we did in the morning, that I already shared my deck with her, that in any time, you have any technical glitch, you can help me with that. So that helps you to relieve stress. Communicate effectively, yes, because I should not say that, but I was prepared that even if one slide is not up, can I still continue for this 1 hour webinar? Yes, that's exactly where I'm able to manage my stress. Empathize with others. I understand that empathy is very important, emotional intelligence, and we will talk about it. At the same time, very important first is to understand yourself when it comes to emotional intelligence. Second definition talks about emotional intelligence impacts many different aspects. Yes, and it's not something that I have a very critical discussion. I have a very important deal to close today, or I have a very important person to meet today. And when I'm taking this example, I'm taking from all walks of our life. It is something a way of life, and that's where when I say that it's not only my PhD, but I immensely benefited by this whole EI methodology or EI concept, which I have to. So this is the way of life, the way you interact with others. As simple as that, with your helpers, with your cab person, and the way I travel, I know how critical conversation it becomes when you have to really talk to your cab person from when the flight is already announced and you really have little less time to reach, and that's where very critical skill in terms of everyday life. So let's understand, and I'm sure that you being from different professions and different levels and different sectors, you must have benefited because of your IQ. Can we go to the next channel, please? Uh, Now, when I look at this slide, and it's also a very culture part of it. Think about the childhood, school days, our middle years, our 11th and 12th. We are very IQ driven society. And when we say IQ driven society, from the very start, we people are being given that IQ is very important. IQ is very important. And somewhere it runs in our DNA that yes, IQ is very important. And it becomes a way of life. We as parents, we as managers also deal with that approach that IQ is important. Let's understand this. And when we look at this, now iceberg behavioral people, okay? They use this model for many models from many frameworks. And that's why when you look at this slide, it talks about that IQ 20 to 25% of your business success, and 75 to 80% of business success comes from EQ. And I'm not saying that, okay? Just because my topic is this, it is being said, and not I'm talking about 2020. I particularly picked up that 1995 also. It was promoted by Time Magazine that IQ gets you hired, but emotional intelligence gets you promoted. And a very simple example I usually talk in my sessions when I do this, that think about it, that two people join the organization, similar credentials, similar qualification, more or less similar performance, technical competence is same, but at the same time, after a point, you see one person is growing, doing well in his or her career. And many a times when we look at it, we see this, that IQ plays a very important role. uh, One of the very recent incidents in my coaching experience, a very promising high potential was referred to me, and the organization's narrative was that uh, he's very good when it comes to his technical competence, his intentions, his ability to resolve issues, everything is very good, but he has a very major anger issue. And Dr. Supriya, you have to help us to help him on that issue. I said, okay, fair enough. And first interaction with him, and I said that, yeah, I got to know that you're very good. And she said, yeah, I know this is all what you're going to talk about, but you know that I have an issue, that I have a very, very bad temper, and my anger is very bad, and because of that, I'm being referred to you. I said, okay, so you know, and that's the first part, that you're already aware that what is the challenge for you. And he said, but you know, iska kuch ho nahi sakta. I said, okay, and why you say that कि iska kuch ho nahi sakta? So he said, you know, my father was also like that. So because he was in police and his temper was worse than me. I said, okay. And I heard that my dadajis and my, uncles, they all have this short-tempered demeanor. And to tell you, even my son, who is just 6 years old, he also has a similar kind of a temper. So you know, Dr. Supriya, it runs in our family. ये हमारे खानदानी दिक्कत है, और इसका कुछ हो सकता है तो अगले जन्म में ही हो सकता है. Now think about it, that how do we look at these things? We accept it as part of our life, and that's why I have some kind of objection when people say that accept as you are. Well, accept as you are is a part of emotional intelligence, but it doesn't stop there, because if you accept that, oh, I have a fiery temper, and I accept, and I very grand entry kind of a thing, I tell to people and I declare to the world that, oh, I know that, I accept that I have a fiery, but what are you doing about it? Because emotional intelligence is all about it after that also. So let's take some kind of a poll here, and Shambhavi, I think we can pose that poll here, that when you look at this slide and you are all experienced and have seen the world in your own way, what do you think that is more important? Uh, so can we be able to do that, or I can move without the poll also?
Sent out the poll. Maximum responses are for EQ, of course. 97
Oh, really?
are. Yes.
97, and I see 206 people participating. Oh, so on a lighter note, my BD team will be very happy, because when you look at this webinar, it's just an hour, and when 97% people feel that EI is an important skill, I invite you for our more detailed session, which is on a 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, because as I said, that 1 hour webinar will not really help us to understand. So take a call. We have 3 days VILT planned for emotional intelligence, where we look at a lot of activities and more interaction. I'll be able to see your expressions. I'll be able to see your body language, and it will be more better connect to understand the EI from that perspective. So very good. I think that poll talks about that somewhere, however IQ driven we are, we all know that EQ is important. And when I say EQ is important, it's not at work, but because being a psychologist, I have dealt with a lot of clinical issues, I have dealt with a lot of couple issues, and I have seen that EQ plays a very, very important role in social scenarios, in relationships also. Can we go next, Shambhavi? Yes. So as I said that, you all feel that हमारे business का बहुत challenge है, and this whole COVID-19 has really made our business. We also have a big challenge, because think about it, that any model, any topic I announce, and you Google it, you will have probably more content than I could source for. And that's where, when I look at this model, I particularly chose this model because this is a very simple model to understand. And the simplicity of the model will also help us to retain this model when we want to understand AI in a better way. Know your emotions, the self-awareness. Now, I usually take this analogy that when was the last you called or you dialed your own number? I don't know how many of you have tried. It is like some of us must have tried. And in spite of a very good tower, powerful tower, I mean signals around you, a good balance, even good service provider, you will get a response when you call or dial your own number is busy, engaged. And just one digit here and there, and you will probably connect to someone in Kochi also or someone in Bihar also. But your own number will always be busy, will always be engaged. And that's where, when you look at this first, know your emotions or self awareness, how much we are aware about ourselves. Now, when we say awareness, it seems a very simple word, but it talks about all what we are today. Now, whatever we are today, we are very unique in our own way, but at the same time, there are reasons for us. It could be genetic loading, it could be the family we belong to, it could be the experiences we got, it could be some of the failures I have faced, it could be some kind of a setback, some kind of a losses. And that's where what makes us what we are today. At the same time, how we are aware of it. Because when I'm aware of it, I know that what are some of the triggers. For example, when we look at EI, it also has, and that has really made our life easy, people, those who deal in this area. It has a very scientific background to it also. For example, when we look at stress, which is also a very integral part of emotional intelligence, we all react to stress in different ways. So some of us are stomach reactors. They will have some kind of a stomach upset. Some of us are head reactors. So we might have migraines or some kind of a specific area. We start having headaches. Some of us are reactors in terms that we get rashes on our skin. This is very individual to individual, and how much I'm aware of will help us or will help me to manage myself. So as I say that, uh, consider yourself as a case study for you and observe yourself. And I usually ask people to do this exercise at the end of the day when you're lying on a bed. That, okay, so Priya, so how you behave today? Let me see. And you recall and screen yourself from the start of the day to the end. And that revisiting also gives us a lot of perspective that what we are and why we are. Because that self-awareness will only help us to manage ourselves. For example, as I said that it seems ऐसा लगता है सदियों पुरानी बात कर रही हूँ मैं, but travel starts is a very common tweet I do on my Twitter because the way I travel. And so I have this awareness that I cannot really manage my hunger. And when I say that, if 2 hours or 3 hours I'm not able to eat something, I feel very irritated. I feel low on my energy, and small little things can also really distress me. Now, whosoever knows me in Naman or all my friends, they know that I carry something in my bag, because many a times you travel from airport to client site, which is quite far, and you will always find there's always a box which carries some kind of a dry fruits, and that helps me. A very simple behavior. At the same time, it goes long way for me to manage myself. So awareness will take us to manage ourselves. Now, next talks about social awareness. As I say that social intelligence also is being coined this way. So this is the second part of it when we look at emotional intelligence, that recognize and understand other people's emotions. Very simple to read, but very difficult to understand. And I think I'll always, I take back that childhood example, that how many of us remember that in the evenings, when you are in that mood of playing, and you're actually playing or doing something else, and suddenly father walks in and you sense something, that, oh, something is wrong, he had a bad day or something like that. You close all those activities and sit for your studies like a good child, and then you sense that environment, that that's a good activity right now, preferred activity right now, to maintain that peace and harmony in the house. So that's exactly what we mean when we understand social awareness. How you can sense the environment, how you can feel the environment. And when we say feel the environment, exactly it is about understanding the other person. In my leadership programs, a lot of debates happen, and because we interpret the words we understand or we relate. For example, a lot of time diplomatic word invites a lot of debate. Similarly, political savvy invites a lot of debates, and people have a very strict or very definite opinions about it. And when we understand, because words are power, words are weight, I understand. At the same time, we interpret the words the way we understand it. And particularly in couples relationships, many times we are at loss that ये बोल देता हूँ तो पता नहीं इसको क्या हो जाता है, या मैं ये कह देती हूँ तो इनको पता नहीं क्या हो जाता है. Usually in spouses we do have, because we have some kind of a meaning attached to that word, and that's why it triggers that kind of a reaction in us. So political savvy, I do talk about it at length in my programs, and that's where how these words help us to become more social awareness. When we understand social awareness, yes, that's exactly where the relationship management comes in. Relationship management, as I said, that we are very IQ driven, and a lot of time we are being trained also. I don't know where it comes from. Induction के time से आता है कि interview के time से आता है, but we are all somewhere equipped that there's no place for emotions in organizations. Uh, because I work for Dale Carnegie, and I'm really I feel that I have learned a lot being a Dale Carnegie trainer, and I still remember a very famous statement by Dale Carnegie that whatever position, whatever sector, whatever level you work, don't forget ultimately you are dealing with emotional individuals. And what better time right now to understand this, because all the organizations right now talking about mental health, right now talking about how to address anxieties, talking about how to keep the morale. And that's where when we look at the relationship management, we are all very factual people, data driven people. uh, the emotion aspect and in a right way to interpret and comprehend emotion is what all about relationship management. Can we go next? Yes. So, needless to say, I understand, because some of you might have sponsored by your organizations, or you have taken this webcast to understand that how I can change or enhance my department's emotional intelligence, how I can work with my team to make them more emotionally intelligent. And these are some of the very proven researches that if the leader is emotional intelligent, if the organization is emotionally intelligent, the approach is towards that, we do have, these are some of the benefits which are very, very visible, and a lot of researchers have proved over a period of time. Let's go to the next. Yes. Now, as I said, that just because it's 1 hour, I was really struggling to give you something very substantial, to give you something which you can take it forward to apply. And that's where this Seligman's 3 Ps, very, very powerful framework in field of psychology. And so when we look at the slide, many times we have people कि यार कुछ लोग कैसे खुश रह सकते हैं, कुछ भी होता रहे, पता नहीं कहाँ से आता है, या तो by birth they have this, and that's where many times we give up कि कभी ऐसे किसी फैमिली में जन्म लेना पड़ेगा जहाँ पे लोग खुश पैदा होते हैं, तो मेरा तो कुछ हो नहीं सकता. So when we look at this slide, it's very important to understand that emotional intelligence is a skill. And when I say skill, look at all the words where the skill word is attached. Communication skills, driving skills, cooking skills. Abhi to sabki cooking skills, I think irrespective of the gender, we are all very expert in cooking. And that's where when we look at the emotional intelligence, it's also a skill. And skill is something I don't have to be born with. I can learn, I can acquire. But can I learn and acquire in 1 hour webcast? Not really. Similarly, like you watch 5 YouTube videos on driving. Will you be able to learn driving? Will you be able to learn swimming after watching 5 YouTube videos? No. It will definitely require some kind of a practice. It will definitely require some kind of a consistent efforts. And that's where emotional intelligence is also very, very important in terms of skill, but at the same time, it requires some definite efforts also. So when we look at this framework, and we usually when we feel a little envious to people that how they keep up their morale, that लॉकडाउन हो रहा है पर फिर भी उससे बात करो तो चहकता रहता है, लॉकडाउन हो रहा है दिन भर खाना बनाना पड़ रहा है पर देखो उसको देखो कुछ ना कुछ क्रिएटिव करती रहती है, कभी क्रोशिया कर रही है, कभी कुछ कर रही है. सो मेनी टाइम्स यू वंडर कि ये लोग कहाँ से कैसे लेके आते हैं. The most important aspect I would like you to remember from this webcast is that happiness is a habit. Yes, I'll repeat. Happiness is a habit. And that's why when I say skill, it is also a habit in terms of irrespective of the background you come from, irrespective of the setbacks, irrespective of the genetic loading, you still can develop that habit. And when I say happiness, don't please take it in that literal term when you are uh, ये तो खैर पुरानी बात हो गई पर बहुत अच्छा आपको रेटिंग मिला है एंड यू गॉट दैट desired position. I don't know when we will hear that again, but I'm not talking about happiness in that literal term. What I'm talking about happiness is a habit in terms of managing yourself comfortably, relaxed, having that confidence that I can take charge, I can handle a situation. So, happiness in a more expanded term, not happiness in terms of elated or for that one euphoric moment I'm talking about. So a very simple definition here given, and as I said, that this framework itself requires a one full day, uh, interaction with people. What I have done that in the next slide, I'll just quickly explain you that usually, and I understand that we cannot really put people in boxes. I totally against of this idea. I'm a 16 PF practitioner, so I cannot really say that people are introvert or extrovert. We cannot be like that. I'm a trainer who comes across as an extrovert, but I'm maybe after the training I'm the most introvert person. So please don't put people in these boxes after looking at this framework. Behavioral training is a very double-edged sword. मेरे नाम के आगे पता नहीं कितनी सदियों तक कुछ कुछ डॉक्टर सुप्रिया ने यह सेशन में ऐसा कहा था कि कुछ लोग ऑप्टिमिस्ट होते हैं कुछ पेसिमिस्ट होते हैं. प्लीज डोंट कैटेगराइज पीपल इन दैट. मेरे नाम के नीचे ऐसा सब कुछ मत चलाना प्लीज. Because when we are looking at it, what we are talking about that how we interpret the situation. So the same situation, how I interpret the same situations, how the other individual interpret. The situation remains the same, and that's where the optimist and pessimist in a good situation, how the optimist will interpret, and the same good situation, how the pessimist will interpret. Bad situation, how the optimist will interpret, and bad situation, how the pessimist will interpret. For example, can we go to the next slide? Yes. So now this is like for 1 hour, it will be easy for us to understand. For example, look at this scenario. I think we're all troubled and stressed, and because it's not a holiday. A lot of people are trying to give us that gyan ki boss, consider it as a holiday, take some kind of a challenge. It's not a holiday. We have our own share of anxieties. We have our own share of stress. We have our own share of fear for future. You don't know. I have invested money in my, bought new house, and now I see suddenly there is no progress. So you never know what people are struggling with. Mananili, it was just an example I'm talking about. So when we look at this optimism during adversity, now this adversity, yes, we were not prepared, and that's where permanence. The first P in Seligman's framework is P. This will not last forever. So the optimist person who tries to work on his or her optimism will interpret the whole situation that very soon, maybe 6 months, 3 months, I don't know. I'm not putting any date or deadline, but definitely it will be a thing of past. So it is not going to remain forever. And the reference could be many. Every 100 years, we have a lot of WhatsApp universities talking about that. How every 100 years there is some kind of a pandemic, kind of a this, but still we people have survived. And that's where, as an optimist person, I will interpret the situation that this will not last forever. I'll again travel. I'll again go out for watching movies, and that's the kind of a permanence aspect when I want to bring that optimism to the situation. Next talks about the pervasiveness. Now, pervasiveness, if you look at the pessimist, the earlier slide, pervasiveness, for example, if I had a bad meeting, for example, the client or customer, it was not a very good conversation. In fact, they actually insulted me, and salespeople here must be familiar that how the rejection is a part of our life. We become very very rejection proof in that. So when we look at this pervasiveness, people, those who are of that side where they interpret the situation pessimistically, they will have this effect on everything. So that half an hour meeting will have a pervasive effect of everything. So for example, the same evening, birthday celebration of daughter, that person will have that effect even to that celebration. Family planned something, again, maybe next 2 days holiday is planned, but that person will carry out that whole impact to it. So this is not changing everything. What does it mean? That okay, I'm in a lockdown. I cannot move out, I cannot go for my walks, but can I do something? And then a lot of creative, and I'll take my example over here because I don't have a chance to take your example, that I'm someone who is into walking, and every day my walk is something a very refreshing, a very rejuvenating part of my life, I should say. And the moment lockdown started, the most trouble part for me that I was not able to walk. Good 2 3 days I was struggling, and as I said that I'm quite active on Twitter. I just put it there, and then very famous journalist Chitra, she sent me back one app, and she said that you can walk at home, Supriya, if you want. And believe me, that app is helping me to walk every day. And it is actually a walk app, which gives you, and this is going to be there for me whenever I'm traveling, because the excuse which I take on travels that I can't exercise, I can't walk, it is going to help. So this is not changing everything. There are a lot of things. People are still making gulab jamuns. People are still eating mangoes. So it's not everything that COVID-19 has impacted everything कि मैं ऐसे उठा के खाना नहीं खा सकता, मैं आइसक्रीम enjoy नहीं कर सकता. And that's the optimism. Your effort will make a difference, yes. And that's exactly taking charge part of the emotional intelligence. That what can I do in this kind of a situation? And I'm not giving you any kind of a objective or goal for that, because I understand that what one goal works for one individual may not work for other individual. So your effort will make a difference. What can you do in that situation? And that's where that it is not pervasive, it is not permanent, and it is not because of me, and it is not only me, and it is not going to change for that. And these are the three P's which are very, very important and can be very powerful framework for all of us to interpret the situation. Can we go next? Yes. Uh, in a behavioral training, you have to have something at this slide. कुछ take away तो मतलब होना ही चाहिए. And I'm being very honest with you, and that's again being a part of emotional intelligence. I know that 15 minutes, I cannot really have so many action points from you. At the same time, I'm putting this slide to pick up any one action point which you feel is realistic, which you feel you would like to take it up, which you feel would be fun to do it. And that's where I'm interpreting this slide in that way. So finding some goals in your life, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about those goals which people are, the social media is flooded with. 21 days challenge. अब तो fourth lockdown आ रहा है. पहले lockdown में सब बात कर रहे थे कि fitness का ले लो, improve your relationships, improve your connect with your kids. It's not like that, right? That goal may not be exciting for me. That goal may not be enough. I don't have those resources. I may not have that kind of a mental framework. So when I say goal, any goal which you feel you would like to take it up and which is more realistic. Second point talks about it, that set realistic but challenging. Yes, realistic, very important. If you say that I will do cycling every 1 hour, it is not going to help because it is not realistic. But take something challenging which you feel that works for you. Develop positive confidence in your abilities. Yes, and I do talk about it that whenever we are in such situation, we have two CDs playing in our mind, and that one CD usually talks about the self-doubt we have on ourselves. Will I be able to do it? Will I not be able to do it? And that's where having that confidence, because confidence is also a very abstract term. I always like to have this word expanded in a different way. So I'm confident doesn't mean I'm confident everywhere. And that's why a lot of time people say, oh, I'm confident. It's not possible to be confident. You give me some kind of a number, kind of a scenario, any problem statement with numbers. I think I'll be the first person to shy away. I'll be the first person to withdraw from there. So confident is also something a very abstract term. So some areas we are confident, some areas we are not confident. So let's have that positive confidence on the abilities where I'm good. Accept and act upon change. Kitna bhi log aa lo, situation is not going to change. Now think about the adaptability we have shown from the first lockdown to this lockdown now. How many of us were actually thinking that ye pehla phase lockdown ko khatam hai to I'll go mad? And look at the adaptability. We people many times misunderstand our adaptability. We have so much adaptability that fourth lockdown and today we are all smiling. I don't know. I assume that you people are also smiling that we are attending this EI workshop. We don't know. मेरी सिटी में 18 पे लॉकडाउन रिलीज होगा नहीं होगा, आपके यहाँ होगा नहीं होगा, घर में हरी मिर्च नहीं है, घर में मेनी टाइम्स एसेंशियल्स नहीं है, बट we people are managing ourselves, and that's where the ability to accept and act upon change. Realistic optimism, very important. And when I say realistic, optimism is important, but realistic is very important. We see people on two extremes. Now, after this, we will see people into extremes in terms of extremely doubtful, extremely apprehensive, that even if you go and give them some kind of a paper, they will have some kind of a sanitizer and then they will accept the paper. And we will have other people on the extreme where they will say that hona hai ya to hone do, jeevan kshan bhangur hai, jo hota hai hone do, kind of a. Now these are the two extremes, and as I say that when we talk about emotional intelligence, balance is a very critical word. Very, very important is the word balance. So realistic optimism. Engage in learning and self improvement. I'm not giving you any kind of a guidelines, but if, for example, I have given some of the coachings, I have suggested them that who was your favorite singer, and they said, oh, I used to like Kishore Kumar. I said, would you like to learn one Kishore Kumar song which you used to sing in your college days? And that was the assignment given to me. So when I say engage and learn, I'm not talking about some new software, or I'm not talking about all the. It's good if you go to Coursera, or you go to Harvard's free courses. Nothing like it. Engaging and learning something new is important. On your problem solving skills, I'm not going to talk about. I think we all have somewhere proved and have come out that what problem solving skills we all have. Flexible, yes. Now, again, a very important word from emotional intelligence perspective, that I was talking about empathy. And when flexibility, there's a word which is known as emotional literacy. Now, when I say emotional literacy, a lot of time people come up with that generalized statements. Oh, I don't know why you feel that way. Oh, I don't know. Many times we just brush away. And flexibility is, like I usually explain this, that what kind of a spectrum of emotions you have equipped yourself with. For example, many times people don't even, they are not able to empathize with special kids. And I wonder, hearing those statements from people, that, I feel very uncomfortable seeing those kids. Oh, hello. You have that ability, or you have that, you're fortunate enough that your own brother or your own cousin, or kid for that matter, brother for that matter. But don't be so, don't show that kind of apathy where you say that, oh, I'm so sensitive that I cannot see people with Down syndrome. I cannot see people who are mentally challenged. And that's where flexibility is, that how I can accommodate diverse emotions and can create that kind of emotional literacy in my mind. Strong social connect. It has been proven that people, those who have good EI, they are also very good when it comes to their social interactions. So when I'm saying social connect, I'm not talking about the number on your LinkedIn. I'm not talking about the number of Facebook friends. I'm not talking about that aspect of it. What I'm talking about, that how socially you are active and you have those meaningful relations in your social scenario. Demonstrate undying passion and persistence. I think very, very self-explanatory. Can we go to the next? Yeah, now this is something, a very interesting slide. And so there is one interesting thing which has happened during this lockdown for me. With all my cribbing and complaining, I have come up with my own YouTube channel also. Being in this field and very much passionate about Hindi, I started writing few short stories. And when I say short, they're really short, lesser than 10 minutes. And that's where this one very specific line, इन्हीं लोगों ने, we all take that victim position in our life. And when I say victim position, एक वो लाल किताब होती है जिसमें सबके लिए हमारे कंप्लेंट्स लिखी रहती है. क्लास 2 की टीचर ने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया, मेरे वो कजन ने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया, मेरे पेरेंट्स ने मेरे साथ ऐसा किया, मेरे पहले बॉस ने मेरा ऐसा किया, और उन सब के कारण आज मैं ऐसी हूँ. Now I can have list of those reasons, and they may be very genuine. I'm not denying anywhere. At the same time, what do you want to do about it? And that's what the whole video is all about. I'm not playing right now because I see that it is already less time, and but I'll invite you to go to that channel, and you can see that. Don't take that victim position. Take that take that position. Take charge of your life and try to find out how you can heal yourself. Next, Shambhavi. Yeah. So this is the final slide. Second last, I should say. I never ever imagined that in my 20 years of experience, I can put this picture on my very formal webinar. And this is exactly the new normal. So the facilitator, the doctor, the coach was washing the utensils just before the sessions started, and that's a new normal. Now, how ready we are, and you'll find a lot of statements nowadays on social media कि आप कितनी करोड़ की डील में भी आप हो, पर यदि आप वर्क फ्रॉम होम काम कर रहे हो और घर की घंटी बजती है तो आपको उसमें से यू हैव टू गेट अप एंड ओपन द डोर, and that's a new normal for us. So how ready we are for that new normal is again the flexibility, the adaptability, and the emotional intelligence we can exercise with. So I think the next slide all talk about that commitment which you want to take. And do you want to give this poll, Shambhavi, to our people, that do I want to work on my EI? Because as I said, that 1 hour webinar will not really give us that kind of a perspective or that kind of a skill. And let's start, because EI is something, a skill which is important for us, not for today, not in the times of COVID-19, not in the times of professional scenario, but bringing all that meaningfulness, bringing all that happiness in life. I assure you that emotional intelligence is that skill for all of us. So what is the statistics?
We are still getting responses.
Okay.
As of now, obviously, it's more inclined towards yes, working on their EI with 97%.
So 97 seems a very lucky number for us. I don't know. All our polls are going to 97%. So good, because and as I say that what kind of a commitment you have, because starting from that first poll which we talked about, that IQ is important. We are all because what our IQ is. At the same time, EQ is that critical skill, and we said that we all agree that EQ and EI is very important skill for us. So take that commitment, invest your time, energy, money also for that matter, and get acquainted to become better with your emotional intelligence skills. So thank you so much. And then before we move, can we move to the next? Because that's exactly the details of next VILT, which we have scheduled on 21st, 22nd, 23rd. All the commercials group में आपको ये मिलेगा, 15 के पहले करेंगे तो ये मिलेगा. All the details are there. At the same time, our two very promising colleagues from BD, they are also mentioned on this. Their email IDs are given, their numbers are given. If you want to know more details, because I understand that learning happens with a lot of interaction and a lot of exercises, simulations. And that's exactly where the VILT of emotional intelligence is planned that way. So take a call, decide that how do you want to take that commitment forward, entirely your call. So other offerings from Naman, which we have planned in the month of May and June. The next slide, please, Shambhavi. So these are some of the offerings from Naman, and you can choose whatever is of your interest. And I assure you that the line of facilitators is in Naman are very promising. So thank you so much. And before that, let's have question answers, because we announced that we will have question answers for the last, we have 7 minutes. So can we have question answers, Shambhavi? I am not able to see that, Shambhavi. You have a control on screen right now? Okay, all right. So Monica asks, is there any link between EI and employability of students? Yes, and it's a very relevant question because our curriculum, we as parents, and today morning when I was looking at it, someone asked a question that what kind of a curriculum you will be interested to send your kids to if I'm coming up with some kind of a 10 days course. So options were career choice, options were employability, and there was also an option that how to be happier kids. And most of the parents, I should tell you, that they selected that how to be happy, teach my kid how to be happy. So emotional intelligence, because the setbacks and failures are a part of life. We can't really avoid them. At the same time, my EI will help me to manage those failures and setbacks. Second asked, is optimism universally a good trait in all aspects of life? Uh, so I understand this question in terms of that we are all surviving because we have some kind of optimism. For example, look at the kind of discoveries, inventions we have right now. Some kind of optimism, and that's why, for example, first time who must have thought about that we will have some kind of a wireless device where we can talk to people, and it is a reality right now. So very simple example I'm giving, but that optimism only somewhere kept us going. Atul asked that, do you relate intelligence with emotions? So when you say that, so do I understand the question that will IQ determines my EQ? Uh, well, many a times we have seen gifted individuals in my practice, clinical practice, that people with high IQ as 110 or 115, and still when you look at their emotional intelligence, many a times they miserably fail. So look at a lot of celebrities. If we want to take the example of that, their IQ is proven, their IQ is given. In spite of that, their EQ is sometimes they struggle with their relationships, their social interactions, and their usually interpretation of their own success. So, okay, so Smriti, various IQ test assessment across organizations and sectors, but how to practice EQ at organization level? Yes, Smriti, so I understand your question that when we talk about that how as an individual, because let's understand we are, as I given you that happiness is a habit, we are also very selfish individuals. So even if my organization is not equipped or not mature enough to practice EI as one of the values or as one of the way of life, I still can practice because ultimately it's my peace, it's my meaningfulness in life which matters to me. So yes, a lot of organizations have taken up EI as one of their values, and a lot of interventions from the senior most people to to down people, they have taken this. Wish to understand more, Prabir. Good to know that what you wrote, and as I said, that I tried my best to do the justice to this very abstract and very difficult topic. Good to know that at least I made you curious. Any is to learn EQ, or how do we convey a child to use EQ? Yes, Nehal, I feel that it's not very age specific, and that's where a lot of time in my parenting workshops also I talk about that we do teach our kids denial from the very start of their age. So very simple example, बच्चा जब गिरता है और रोता है और उसको लगी रहती है, अच्छे से खून आ रहा रहता है, many times we as parents try to distract him. It's good idea to distract, but at least acknowledge that he is feeling hurt, he is feeling that kind of a pain. But what we do, देखो 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 वहां क्या आ रहा है, देखो देखो वहां पे कौन जा रहा है. And from that very age, we somewhere get into that mode of denying our own feelings. We are not very comfortable to accept our feelings. We are not very transparent to our own self. Forget about the world. And that's where EQ can start from as simple as to the toddlers, where you teach them that he or she starts saying that I feel sad, I feel frustrated, I feel happy. And that's where the vocabulary can be given to them. Uh, Okay, how to handle to work in organization, particularly with bosses. Yes, I think we Manazil, if I'm pronouncing it correct, Manazil. Otherwise, I'm so sorry because I know no scope to understand it. Yes, boss management. I do take sessions in my leadership, and when we say boss management, emotional intelligence really goes. And I start with that. Let's understand just because they are bosses, they're also humans. They have their own fears, they have their own insecurities, they have their own challenges. And as I am their team member, how I can manage. And political savvy, which I talked about, is more or less related to it. Uh, uh, some days we might just feel blank, neither optimistic nor pessimistic. How do you interpret that kind of? So there's no compulsion, Raghavan, to feel that either or. Many times we are that, and that's I think is also good idea to be blank. Don't force yourself to be optimistic and pessimistic. For example, right now, yesterday only someone was asking me that how do you see this trend going? I think I'm totally blank. I don't know. I don't want to have that pseudo optimism that oh things will become better, people will again go back, retail will pick up. I really don't know, and that's where being blank is also absolutely fine. No force to go either pessimistic or optimistic. Uh, Even though emotional is important, but we have not seen giving sufficient in schools, college, or workplace. With what is the reason? I think it's a very important. And the way I was reading today morning a latest article, and yes, I do prepare till after my PhD and after 20 years. I was reading an article and where they were talking about look at the US, no scarcity, abundance of resources in terms of the materialistic aspect. Still, the shootouts, the depression, the suicides, and I should not say only US. Unfortunately, we are also somewhere going there. And just because we people are not equipped, we as adults not equipped, how we are going to help our kids, our children, our teachers, and that's why I don't feel that EI should only be a part of organizations. We all require EI. At old age also we require EI. So EI is everywhere. Okay, so Sana has given many questions and concerns. Okay, all right. So for me also, it is like we have to close this. Thank you so much. And uh, first and foremost, it's genuine thanks for bearing all those glitches initially. It's tough. I should tell you, 50 people or 200 people or 500. I just took a BARC session last year. 1,000 people were there, but being virtually is altogether a different task. Believe me, a lot of emotional intelligence is under the test. At the same time, you people showed that flexibility. It's such a pleasure to connect to you people, and I'll go through all the questions, and I'll definitely come back to you. So thank you so much for sparing your time. Thank you so much.